Hello again, everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I do want to start this one off by saying thank you so much to one just watching the original video, but also watching this one. And yeah, I've gotten a few different ideas. It's not too many, it's only a few comments, but going through responding to some of these, I came across one and I was like, okay, this is a lot to unpack. So here we are. I'm just not even typing a rebuttal to the one you see on this, or will see on the screen in a second. Uh, I do want to preface this by saying I am relatively new to this, right? So I appreciate all of the criticism that I did receive. Most of it was really well put, or just the difference in ideas, which is fine. As long as it's like respectful and nothing crazy, I don't really care. Even if it's not, I'll probably just ignore it. Oh, okay, well, my dog decided it was chew toy time. So let's just get right into it. I'm gonna start with this big comment that was left that prompted me to say screw this. I'm just gonna hop on and talk about it. We're gonna break this down piece by piece. I'm gonna try to be as articulate as possible, but still new. So leave the criticism again, and then we'll do another one of these. All right. So, why are you acting like Republicans and bigots don't call anything with diversity woke? So, when you paint such a broad brush, you start to alienate a lot of people. That is something we're realizing. So you're playing into, again, you're seeing a group as all automatically thinking the same, which we're all guilty of. Uh, when I say all, I typically am generalizing, so I will give you the benefit of the doubt. Although, when you go on to the rest of your message, I think that you mean like you genuinely believe all Republicans feel this way. But I don't think you know what a Republican is. Uh, the entire thing is based off of the individual versus group identity. Uh, it kind of isn't a super big focus in the current Republican Party outside of going against liberal ideology or wokeism, that your group identity is paramount and that's all that matters and that's how you function in the world, which just isn't true. I hardly identify myself as black to someone. You shouldn't have to, obviously, but I typically say my name, and I typically think it's better if people look at me that way. I know plenty of Republicans. They typically don't care. I like I don't know what to say to that outside of that's just not true. Uh, is your argument no Republican played the new Final Fantasy because the sales numbers just would not agree with that? Same with Halo. I'm positive Republicans played that. What about all of the Japanese games that release over here and do really well? I'd say like every JRPG. What about anime fans that are Republican? Do you think maybe they hate Japanese people and they think all Japanese forms of media is woke because it's diverse? At least comparatively to here, because majority of the United States is not Japanese. This entire point falls apart because you're making the argument that Republicans don't consume media that isn't inherently white, which just is not true. And statistically, that's just untrue. That would be 50% of the country just not consuming media. And that's just not what we see in the numbers, which I don't even think I really feel like I should not have to pull up numbers on consumption of media. Like, I think it should be pretty fucking obvious. Republicans interact with the economy in the US, so I'm not even going to waste my time there. We're going to keep going on. They absolutely do. It ain't like Little Mermaid has nothing to do with race, and look at how mad racists were about that. Racists weren't mad about that. I was also mad about that. And it's not because of the color of the girl per se. It has nothing to do with the fact that it was black. It could have been Asian. It could have been anything that wasn't white, and people would have been equally upset. And the reason is by trying to include a group, you are by extension excluding a group. Why are you making Jesus just God just fix my light bulb, I guess. I don't know. Where was I? Mad about race. Same thing, Avatar stuff. Yeah. So about the race thing, you're excluding a group by doing that. Why do you get to take a character that exists and change the race of it? And what message does that send to young white kids? What message does that send to older white people about stuff that was created in their image? And you take that and you change that. And I hate when people make this point, because if you took Mulan, which was a horrible movie, but imagine if they made that a white girl or a black girl, you would have had equal amounts of outrage. It's not about white people. What if you take Black Panther and make him white? Like, that just doesn't work, does it? There's white Africans, but a white Black Panther would really rub people the wrong way. And I think it's fair that it would, because you're erasing characters that have existed for decades, for years and years and years. And you're sending a message that you don't really consider them as being worth preserving. These characters, a lot of people grew up with Little Mermaid. Little kids don't care about the color of characters. So I don't understand what, like, this doesn't add to the story. It's a very, like, lazy way to try to make money, and it's very obvious that's what they're doing. They're not trying to add to the story by changing the color of these characters. They're trying to make quick money on people who think like you, that race is all that matters. And if I really hope you're not so foolish as to only support a project for people that look exactly like you. This is America. That's not how we function. Show respect to every culture that's in this country and you'll be fine. There would be no problems. I also think it's funny that you say that people are racist that get mad about this. But what does it say about you to say you don't think black people are even good enough to get their own created characters, their own stories? Why do we have to leech off of every other race for stories? There's nothing in African mythology that we could use. There's no folk tales from Africa we could use. There's no stories we can just come up with here with our own brains and minds. And the most easy to access informational generation there's ever been. Like, I can get on my phone and read books and books and books, and you're telling me not a single person can come up with an idea for a black story that appeals to children? Really, we have to leech off of The Little Mermaid. Like, I want you to think about that. What message does that send to black kids that, hey, we're not gonna make you your own stuff, we're actually just gonna leech off of everybody else's and just change the color so you also like it? Kids don't care about that, and you shouldn't either. You're too old. Stop ignoring reality to make your point better. Also, just the fact that you are reviewing his video and making a whole video about it without even watching his full video shows that you don't actually care about the facts or the full picture, and you just want to make a hate video based on emotion. No one made the criticism. I lacked context, and neither did you. The points I wanted to address, I didn't address anything further in the video. I addressed what as it came on, so there's no removed context. Like, I'm telling you my thoughts, and Hasan isn't, like, his points aren't exactly new. I've watched a lot of stuff with Hasan. I've seen him on debates. Like, this isn't something new. Hasan has been on the internet for, what, a decade now, if not more. I don't understand. What point did I miss context on? Because did he change his mind at the end of the video? Like, what? So I think that's a pretty stupid point, that you have to watch a full video to address specific points at specific points of a video. I think this whole context thing is just the way hardcore liberals try to cover up their tracks, even when everybody has full context. Like, what are you talking about? Also, the Forspoken take is actually psychotic. Do you honestly believe that a company would invest millions into a game just to purposely make it shitty because the main character is black? That's not what I said, and if you had watched the video, you would know that. I was saying that they were using the selling point that she's black in order to get money for a shit game. Do I think they purposefully made it shitty? No. I don't think anybody purposefully makes shitty games, but I do think it's a marketing strategy that they use whenever they see something is turning out really bad. Like this isn't something that magically happens. You don't just get a bad game. How is this game bad? No, these companies have processes, and a lot of the higher ups actually see what's going on. Like they see the process of the game being made, and the higher ups check on the progress of the game. And when the game is close to release, they know the state of the game. Don't let them fool you into thinking they don't. Oh, we're just the publisher. We had no idea. They knew. They definitely knew what was happening. And the only appeal that people found in that game was the race. Whether that's the developer's fault or not, that's the appeal. That's the only appeal some people could find. And for the majority of people, no one cares. They chose that main character for obvious diversity reasons. We're gonna make it a black female, our lowest target audience for video games. And you don't think that, and it's not that they made the character, it's the fact they made that the main character. You don't think that's a little strange? Like, just out of curiosity. They chose their lowest demographic. And this is a point that people have been trying to make, that games have been trying to appeal to such a broad audience that they are appealing to absolutely no one sometimes. Because how many black women do you know playing video games? And it's not saying that there's no black women that play video games. It's not saying there's no woman of color playing. But of course, there's plenty. There's plenty on Twitch. There's plenty in real life. But who's their main audience, right? So you need to appeal to someone. Like this idea that you really think that this, and I'm pretty sure it was a Japanese studio, sat down and was like, I had this crazy idea of using a black female for my game. You don't think there's any industry influence in that decision? How many Japanese games can you name with a black female lead? How many? Even outside of Japanese. How many American studios? Because it might not be, but I'm pretty sure it's from fucking Square Enix, isn't it? So I would like to, which is their publisher. I'm genuinely curious. Like, what do you think went into that decision? You really think there's no politics whatsoever? And it becomes really suspicious because the game was bad. It really makes people wonder, like, why are games specifically being inclusive turning out so bad? And correlation does not equal causation, but goddamn, there's a lot of correlation there. And I think it's responsible to ask these questions. The only person making you look stupid is you, brother. Well, I think you looked pretty damn stupid. That's really all I have to say on those points. I think this whole idea that an entire half of the United States is out to get you is so stupid. This is probably the least racist country on the planet, and it's not even close. We have insane diversity. This idea that 50% of our population is that racist is insane to me, especially if you would just like listen to it. Like, do your own research. That's how I'll put it. That's how I'll put it. And you know, just live your life, man. But living your life thinking everyone's out to hate you is just crazy to me. We have this one. If they make Barrett white, everyone would be just as pissed as if they make Cloud black. True. Like, what? This is the point. Like, you don't see them changing black characters. So if you're saying the skin color doesn't matter, why wouldn't they just take Black Panther and make him white? Like, why wouldn't they do that? And we all know the answer. So he's absolutely correct. Like, you just don't see this happen to black characters. It just never happens. Hasan's the worst human on this website. He's probably not the worst, but yeah, fuck Hasan. Hope this gets more views. Thank you. Hey guys, welcome back to another. I love this guy. I love your name, man. It's my new intro. Nice video, dude. Thanks. See, really nice comments. My views on Hasan have changed over time. Mainly agreeing with you. He's got to stop talking at a yes man ass audience with some authority like he knows or understands the black experience simply because he's liberal. This is a big point. I think I found that most liberal people that aren't black think that they can speak down to us. And you guys don't even know. that they're speaking down to you because you're not politically educated. You don't know what you're talking about half the time. And really, we need to do better as a community to educate ourselves younger before sending kids off to college and not knowing what the hell's going on and just being told you're a victim, you're a victim, you're a victim. Sometimes things are our fault, guys. Okay? Sometimes our culture is a problem. And sometimes we have to own that so we can do better. Does that warrant any hate? No. Just for your skin color? No. Does it warrant change? Yes. I think our culture has to change. And I think it's way better to have Republicans offer some sort of advice on what they think a problem is, at least giving symptoms of a problem, or at least saying what they think is a problem. At least they're being forefront with you, telling you, hey, this is the problem with the community. We think these are the issues. And black people can get mad all they want, but our single motherhood rate is horrible. Like, there's no arguing these facts. I don't understand why so many of you spend your time arguing against reality. This is the reality. There is no benefit to not having fathers in the home. So why are you arguing against this? It just makes you look like crazy. It makes us look bad. And I don't think a lot of black people think that way. And what liberals do is they try to tell you you're a victim so that they can have a hold on you. That's the same reason why they're trying to give illegal immigrants the ability to vote in our country. How does that make any sense? Like, I want you all to think about that. Like, people who are not registered in your country having the ability to vote. That could not go bad, right, guys? Like, there's no other country that would like to see the fall of the United States. It's like just such a silly mindset to me. Like, watch out for liberals that try to tell you how to think and how to feel. That's the biggest one. When someone's telling you how to feel about stuff, you really need to start questioning them because they're your feelings. They can't tell you to feel upset about this arbitrary thing that you haven't even experienced or seen yourself. Like, if you're in the gaming space and you watch reviewers, right? And most of them are white. If you watch reviewers, I want you to genuinely think about, like, have you ever seen in the comments a significant amount of people, like even like 4%, 3%, 2% talking about they hated a game because the character was black? Like, I want you to really consider that. Like, think about a positively rated game, a game that's seen as good. Have you seen anyone really saying they hated Barrett or hated Final Fantasy VII because of Barrett? Like, I genuinely, and not even just because of Barrett, but because he's black. Like, I want you to really think about this. And the answer is probably going to be no. Like, this just doesn't happen. Most of the reviewers are white. They typically are not, they don't even mention race of characters. They talk about wokeness and like all of the other stuff in there. And the thing with these games, they're easy to identify because it won't just be about diversity in terms of color. They'll try to throw every fucking group in there that they can. They'll have gay characters, they'll have transgender characters, and they'll ruin an entire game like The Last of Us 2 by forcing concepts that make no sense during a zombie apocalypse. It just was awkward. It was just really awkward, and it caused the death of people. And I don't think people see the negative implications of that this person was willing to sacrifice their family for a identity that genuinely just doesn't fucking matter at that point. Like, the world's gone. Like, was it worth the death of her mom and like all of this stuff? It just wasn't. But when you see concepts like that portrayed poorly in video games, it makes you like wonder why. Like, why would you even include that? Like, that was just unnecessary. It's one thing to even just have a character who is those things, who are those things, but they make that the person's personality. They add every sort of stereotype that they can, and typically these are the most racist products that our society puts out. Woke is not socialism. Woke is basically surface level progressivism based on a diverse representation. Yeah, I responded to this one already, but I find it hard to find a woke person who isn't also a socialist or at the very least communist. These ideas sort of all melt together, and they all the lines really become blurry when you look deeper into it, and the overlap between I'm woke and I'm also a socialist is very thick. Like, the overlap is like right on top of each other. And I think it's because they start seeing the world as groups versus groups, and that group ideology, they're like, well, we can't trust government, we can't trust anyone else but ourselves. We need society to be run by this community. We need screw the government, screw the banks, screw all of this stuff. It has to be run by this society. And the biggest lie socialism sells is that a society strictly run by community is a utopia that somehow we just keep missing, and it keeps accidentally killing millions of people. It just happens with this pure idea. And the thing is, people have to realize people aren't pure, and the second somebody has an ability to reach for power and use that power to control other people, they will. Socialism invites the most malicious people to act and seize control without any pushback, and that's exactly what we have seen happen. And that's why every time socialism is attempted, it leads to a dictatorship. I think being woke is part of that. Like, you don't get to socialism without being woke, to be honest with you, because you're thinking, well, this group is what the world needs to run functionally correct, and that's just not true. The structures that the United States have in capitalism are run by all types of different people, to be honest with you. Yeah, it might be majority one race, but there are people of every race and every sort of position. And I think it's really disingenuous to this, not to his point. I'm saying it's you don't even see it, I don't think. Let me move myself. Wait, were you able to? Yeah, you can see it. There we go. I think it's really disingenuous to a point that I think it's really disingenuous to say that the world functions as group versus group, when really or capitalism, at least in the West, is really made up of a lot of different groups, and most importantly, individuals. We have to start looking at the world as this person said something, not their color said something. This person did something, not their color did something. Because if we're just going based off a sin of the group, then everybody is screwed for things that they didn't do. I don't think every liberal is a villain. Some cartoon like I'm gonna ruin the world. But I do think there are a lot of bad actors like Hasan who prey on the most mentally ill and socially challenged people in our society who don't understand how the world or people work. And he sort of fuels that, and he's not good for them because he just feeds into their delusions. It's like that girl who ran up to him. Like, we all saw that. I just replaced the battery. Like, we all saw that. And that's his general fan base. These are his fans. Like, she was not an outlier. That's how everybody sees his fans. And that's because that's their outward portrayal. They're insane and they're rabid and they act really, really. I am holier than thou. I'm going to tell you how to act. I'm going to tell you what you can and can't consume. I'm going to think for you, which isn't how you get people to side with you, and it's not how a society could run. That's why their socialism is bullshit, because how are you a socialist and or I know how you're a socialist to do this. I'm going to say, how is socialism going to work when the entire point of socialism is to tell people, well, this is the way we think and this is how you have to think, and the person who decides that ends up at the top while everybody else is fighting for scraps. Like, I don't understand how you think society can run this way. Not him. He's not saying he agrees with socialism, I don't think. I think he's just saying, like, his opinion on what it is. You keep getting super close to actually making a point, but you never really do. Why do you strawman socialism when you clearly don't know about it? Please enlighten me, because I'm confused on what I'm missing about socialism. It's socialism. Oh, here we go. I'll pull this up just for this. Don't worry, buddy. I got you. We're gonna do a deep dive, as deep as we can. Let me zoom in. So Marxism is defined as the political and economic theories of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, later developed by their followers to form the base for the theory and practice of communism. Communism. Let's go there. Communism, a political theory derived from Karl Marx, advocating class war and leading to a society in which all property is publicly owned and each person each person works and is paid accordingly to their abilities and needs. Now, the issue with communism is that this creates a structure in which you have no motivation to actually perform outside of your base. And it creates a very big issue where if I am making as much as the piece of shit next to me, what is the point of working harder? Whoa. What is the point of working harder if this person is going to make the same as me no matter what? And also, this is where the government or dictatorships sort of take control, as you see in Russia, where they've had the same president suddenly lose a rival mysteriously to death or disappearance. Let's look at socialism. Sure. Socialism, a political and economic theory of social organization which advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. So this is different from communism because it includes a bit more. So this goes into production, distribution, and exchange. Should be owned and regulated by the community. This is sort of a, like, on the surface, this sounds really nice. Like, wow, that means it's driven by us. But in reality, you realize without any actual structure to government, all of this falls apart because I'm going to say, fuck you. Actually, I want everything. And I'm going to pressure you until you give me everything. And you have no retort. There's no systems in place to stop me from just taking it and sort of creating... You sort of create this world where you're just a dictator. Everybody else thinks they had the power, but the second anybody with actual power shows up, the illusion of power you had disappears. So it's like, yeah, it says it right there, pure social organization. This is not going to be nearly as powerful as something as capitalism, where it's structural. We have checks and balances. Socialism lacks that completely. The reason we have checks and balances is because we believe that while we want everyone to be good, there are bad actors, and people will come and try to abuse their power. And the checks and balances stops anyone from having too much power. Socialism doesn't account for that. We as the community created capitalism. So what are you talking about? We've created socialism. We've created communism. We as a community, as human beings, created all of these theories, or all of these social systems and governmental systems by which we live by. So socialism, unironically, is sort of like an elementary state to plenty of the other ideas by which we should live. Every sort of system we have now is community driven to an extent, right? Like, people voted and agreed on these systems. Plenty of these systems then exist at the conception of America, or the United States. Sorry, I know people get triggered when you use the two synonymously. But a lot of these systems were created through group gathering and everything like that. Socialism on its face is just very elementary, in my opinion. I don't know if I'm communicating this the best. I don't have too much experience like talking to a camera, but there's no back and forth to really tell me what I should elaborate on. I'm really curious by what you think, like how you think I'm strawmanning socialism, because shit, like so at this point I'm just gonna keep pulling. A weak or imaginary opposition. What? I am very opposed to socialism. What am I strawmanning socialism for? Like, what? It is very much against my beliefs. I don't understand. Some only be easily confuted. Yeah, a person said service code. Like, what is the, like, what am I strong? Am I wrong about socialism? Or is it like, am I making up socialism? Does it not exist in the form it does? Is Hasan not a socialist? Like what? He identifies himself as a socialist, and these ideas that he have are all very socialist based, which is why they're so fucking bad, and everyone makes fun of him in the political sphere because he's a fucking idiot. He can't even debate properly, but he spews out all of these ideas like they're fact, and that anyone who opposes him is a racist or a bigot or all these things. He's so quick to call people Nazis and fascists and stuff like that, but he can't even explain why socialism would work. And I have yet to see anyone explain it without immediately being shut down with common sense, stuff that people should know automatically. If anything sounds too good to be true, it's not fucking true, people. Never forget that. If it sounds too damn good. Anyway, I'm just gonna leave it there. I think overall, leave your criticism. I would love to know what you guys think. I could have done a better job, I guess, but the video was way too long. It was 50 minutes long. I was not reacted to that whole thing. The thing is, he says so many wrong things. Getting through one of his videos takes like fucking 4 hours if you're talking back and forth. Like everything he said in that video, from the point I watched up to the end point that I watched, was just wrong or just like disingenuous. And I don't think he believes a lot of what he preaches. There's no way, because again, regardless what you have to say about my points, what you want to say about like my motives or anything, I live the life that I believe is best in terms of, I think capitalism is great. I want to make money. I want to be able to progress. I want a family that is stable, who can be inspired to go beyond what a basic person would do. And I think that inspiration is beautiful. That's really the American dream, to do greater and provide. That's what I believe. Hasan doesn't live the shit he preaches. He's not a socialist. He has made so much dirty fucking money talking shit to the black community and other minority communities and trying to force them to have certain emotions. It's just manipulation. I guess that is very socialist of him. But yeah, I don't see how a man with a multi-million-dollar home who makes plenty of who makes a lot of money. He makes a good living. He doesn't donate enough if he's a socialist. You can't find what he's done for his community. He walked to a protest and then got approached by one of his insane fans, which really furthered everybody else's movement. So he's against socialism, I suppose, and everything that he does. He's bad at debating. He's bad at articulating points to an audience, even though that's his one job. Like, he's not new to this. He's been on for a decade. So, feel how you want. I think it's really stupid to look at the world as just black versus white. I have a lot of black and white friends. So, and I have to say, I don't think on their mind 24/7 as, man, this game's bad because there's black people. No one thinks this way. Most people are normal. Most people aren't even thinking about politics 90% of the time until it's shoved in their face or forced on their children. Goodbye. Love you guys. Please leave more criticism, more comments, more kind comments. I really like those guys. Later, leave a like, subscribe.